Today is the 15th English Defense Sermon. Today I would like to debate about in reality the wealth received authority from those who believe and received authority from those who keep it. 1. Actually, let's become rich. The Christian faith requires a life that has received the grace of the Lord, that is rich in reality, in a life that transcends morals, rituals, and doctrines. Today, it can be seen that the church has made outward progress, but in reality, the Lord is grieved when he sees the spiritual corruption in poverty. Therefore, in order to become a servant, to welcome the Lord of the second coming, we can know through the text that in reality we must become wealth servants. 1. Because of tribulation and poverty. I know your works and the tribulation and the poverty, but you are rich, and I know the recipe of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of the Satan. Revelation 2:9. The poor of the Christians cannot exist without tribulation and privation. This is because the life of the servant is not a life of achieving perfection, but a life of fighting for perfection. Therefore, the life of a servant is not dysfunctional when tribulation and poverty come, but it is God's good way to give rich things. Now it refers to the three elements of the life of a servant who becomes rich when tribulation and poverty come. First, the cause of the tribulation and poverty is that the life of a servant is the mission of liberating those who are captive to the devil. The devil does not first give us tribulation and poverty. It means that the devil's side comes from the condition of opposing the servant of God. All the servants who went before faced tribulation and privation not for the sake of their own salvation, but when they are bodily stepped forward to save others, tribulation and privation came. However, because of tribulation and poverty, when the servant of God performs a superhuman work of bearing God's fruit, in reality rich blessings comes to the servant, and he sees the fruit that causes many churches. Second, it comes when defending the truth. The power of the devil always raised and used the devil for the purpose of the thing, whether or not the servant of God defends the truth when permission is granted. They have the right to stand against the servant of God. Therefore, those who hold on to the truth, even in the event of the temporary tribulation or depression, will unexpectedly and suddenly receive rich because blessing in reality. Third, it is an ideological problem. The ideology is that no matter how much the forces of the enemy try to compromise, you cannot compromise. The devil always opposes truth forcefully, but when he cannot do so, it infiltrates in a compromising way, but this should not be tolerated. No matter how strong Hezekiah overcame tribulation and poverty, he was destroyed the Babylon because there was no promise with an Babylonian envoy. Therefore, a servant of the God cannot stand still without fighting war retreat because the power of the enemy is strong, and if the power of the enemy asks for compromise, if he tolerates in the side street, he will fail. 2. Do not be afraid of suffering in the future. Fear none of those things which yourself suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be you faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of the life. Revelation 2:10. When God's servants do not have the slightest fear of the changes to come and put into the practice the tasks that come to them each day, they will gain more strength day by day, and when abundant grace are given, even if greater suffering come in the future, we will be able to breaking through without any problems. Therefore, we can receive the more strength to overcome the future by knowing the suffering of the day satisfactorily without worrying about tomorrow. 3. Receiving the crown of life. The Christian welfare is for the kingship of the crown, even if a servant believes in his own personal salvation. If he does not show his elegance in order to save others, then he is the one who interfered with the building of the kingdom, and he will not be able to stand before the Lord without repenting of his sins. Therefore, the life of a servant will be an atom free, without blood, without loyalty to death. The methods of the using God's beloved servant to be faithful until death becomes the law of the law, to give the servant the kingship for the establishing of the kingdom. Conclusion. In reality, the life of the wealthy servant requires active activities in the world that transcend human being. It is impossible to live a rich life all the time unless you fight for the crown in the center of the Lord without trying to be seen by people. God is rich in everything, and in order to give this to his servant, he does not want to join with the self-righteous who claims to be Jews, but instead caused him to be slandered. From human eyes, he seems to be in need, but in reality he makes him rich and glorifies him through his servant. Receiving is the work that is accomplished by the Candlestick Church messenger, who will be the remaining servant. Part 2. The authority of those who keep the Lord's work to the end. The reason why Lord entrusted his work to his servants was for the purpose of giving them authority. However, in order to see whether you entrust the work and keep it to the end, there is the following process. 1. You must do it with all your will and heart, and I will kill all children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searches the reins and hearts, and I will give every one of you according to your works. Revelation 2:23. As for the work of the Lord, if you do not put all your will and heart into it, you cannot become a worse person in the sight of the Lord. The Lord's work is not dealing with the peoples, but dealing with the Lord. Since the Lord examines the will and heart, there can be no formality or correction at all. The Lord first love shows love, so gives grace and intercedes the mission, and examines the will and heart. 2. You will have to hold fast to what is already there. But that which you have already hold fast till I come. Relation 2:25. What already exists means what you have received from the Lord. If anyone receives it but fails to hold onto it firmly and loses it, he cannot receive the work of the rich at all. The reason why we must hold fast until the Lord comes is because there are many elements who want to take it away. 3. You will have to give up what is yours at all. For you are servants of the Lord, and it would be unlawful for a servant to have anything of his own. If a servant spends his time doing his own work without doing what his master tells him to do, he cannot be recognized by his master. Or if a servant says he is doing his master's work, but actually plans some kind of the profit for himself, this is completely unacceptable. Therefore, only who hold on to the work of the Lord until the end will receive authority. If the authority is entrusted to a servant who does not hold on to the work of the Lord, there is a risk damaging the honor. Conclusion. Our greatest blessing is to receive the authority of an iron scepter like the Lord, and to enjoy the kingship of the forever. In other words, if the greatest happiness of the human being is also the kingship, how can the kingship of the forever in the kingdom of heaven be compared? 3. The authority received by those who believe, and the authority received by those who keep it. 1. The believer's authority and the keeps authority. God cannot give authority to all things, but when He gives authority to those who have been created in His image, He intends to receive glory. Authority belongs to God, and there is authority to give those who love, and authority to give the weak. The authority given to the weak is temporary, and the authority given to those who love is eternal authority. 1. Authority to give given to believers. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave the power to become the sons of God, even to them that believes on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. John 1:10 through 13. God gave us a mission to keep it in the Garden of Eden when there is no sin toward human beings. If we had kept it at that time, we would have received the authority given to those who keep it, not the authority given to those who believe. However, due to the failure to keep it, it led to the misery of the whole of the mankind, in which even the authority of the children was lost. Therefore, in order to restore the lost authority, God came to do anything with the law to keep. It is called the gospel of Christ to restore that authority through faith. He came as the Messiah to give us his authority. This is law that can only be achieved through God's love. It is authority to give it if you just accept and believe. Christ died and rose again to restore his authority to the elect. Therefore, when the Lord is the resurrected and faced human life, he wished you peace. The one who received the lost authority has none right to bodily come before God, the right to them claim, and the right to inherit. Those who have this right will receive absolute guidance, nurturing, and protection from God. This authority is heavenly citizenship. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the Son of God. For you have not received the spirit of the belongs again to fear, but you have received the spirit of the adoption, where we cry, Our Father. Romans 8:14 through 15. To authority given to those who keep it. And he that overcame to keep my works unto the end. To him will I give power to over the nation, and he shall rule them with the rod of the iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father, and will give them the morning star. Revelation 2:26 through 28. When God gives you authority to become a child, and at the same time entrusts you with the mission to do these things, it is to entrust it out of love to give you a greater authority over an iron scepter. In other words, the reason he sent his only begotten Son into the world to fulfill his mission was the purpose of the giving him authority to rule all nations. In this way, if we keep the mission entrusted to us and God will give us equal authority, which is the limit of the God's love like Jesus. Therefore, the Lord is said to be in the firstborns or in the Romans 8:29. If Jesus, the eldest son, received the authority of an iron scepter by keeping the missionary commandment to the end, then we, the younger sons, must also keep our assigned duties until death. This is the authority given to strike down and destroy the devil who caused the fall of the first Adam. In other words, it is to repay the unfair blood prices. If a servant waits for the Lord to come again without being lured to his duty, this is the fate of the immature child. The power of the iron scepter cannot be given to the children. It is to reach the result of the police of the Christ, Ephesians 4:13. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of the Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Romans 8:29. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of the God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of a stature of the fullness of Christ, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro and carried about every wind of the doctrine, by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to receive. Ephesians 3:13 through 14. Conclusion. The purpose of God creating all things in the universes and man in his own image was to establish a wonderful kingdom of the glory. However, God grieving the whole of his life forced force of the Holy Spirit to give his children rich and at the same time comes to establish the kingdom again. At this time, believers who have received regenerated will become the people, and those who keep their mission until they receive the authority of the iron scepter will pursue a new kingdom with the Lord your authority. The Kurdish period is around 2025 through 2026 for the unification of the North and South Korea. The first 3 and a half years around 2025 through 2029. The rapture and the World War started around 2029. The next 3 and a half years around 2029 through 2032. And after organizing the kingdom, Department of the Coronation and the Department have a wedding feast, Revelation 6 to Revelation 99. The Armageddon was expected around 2032. The wedding feast, the inauguration of the ceremony of the King of Kings, and the Draco, Revelation 24, and the Millennium Kingdom are expected around 2035. Thank you for watching until the end. You can stop English, the Korean, and the text of the more detailed Japanese sermon that the world responds to in the homepage through copy of the Candlestick Central Church on the internet. I wish you a blessed life in which the fear of the Lord is your joy in your daily life. I pray that every day of your life is free from sin and has nothing to do with sin, and become a bridegroom to welcome the Lord of the second coming. The entry of the 3 and a half years of the last week is very near. I hope you are in the peace of the Lord until the next time. Thank you so much. The 10 Commandments. First, you shall have no other gods before me. Second, you shall not make for yourself an idol of the form of anything, and you shall not bow down to them or worship them. Third, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord of your God. Fourth, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Fifth, honor your father and your mother. Sixth, you shall not murder. Seventh, you shall not commit adultery. Eighth, you shall not steal. Ninth, you shall not give a false testimony against your neighbor. Tenth, you shall not covet your neighbor's belongings. Thank you so much.